learned so much through this process that has brought me where I am now, because my passion for what I do is helping people find their voice, because I didn't have a voice. I felt like I didn't have a voice. And to
You've
really,
earned the right to teach that.
thank you. And to stand in that place of confidence that who you are is enough. It's more than enough. And you have so much value inside of you, because I didn't see that. And once I discovered that, I realized how powerful this is. And I want others, I just see potential in people and I want to draw it out.
Hi, and welcome to the Entrepreneur Freedom Solutions Show. I'm Eric Asbeck, creator of the Super Focused Entrepreneur Action Plan course. Choose your number one goal and create your focused action plan in 6 weeks or less. And today we have Janelle Anderson with us, and you're going to love this one. She is the speaking storyteller mentor for coaches and experts, and she talks about using speaking to attract more clients faster. So I just can't imagine anybody would want to do that. Just kidding. Hey, Janelle, welcome. We're very interested in hearing you.
Oh, good. Hi, Eric. Thanks for having me. I'm excited to be here.
You're welcome. Well, let's just dive in. Please tell us your story and how you got here.
So it's a long story, but I'm going to make it quick. I endured, or I'm a survivor, I guess you could say, of a period of trauma in my 20s, including drug and rape at 19. Fast forward to the age of 23 and being sex trafficked by my boyfriend for 3 years, and a lot in between all.
My heart just dropped.
Yes. So usually I go into detail, but that's for a longer time.
Yeah, and way more vivid than I know that
Yeah.
Yeah,
And,
man.
yeah. And then I
You're
married.
such a nice person. You're just
It's hard to believe, isn't it?
wow. You're amazing.
I've come
Go
a
ahead.
long way, so believe me. But
Yeah.
then I married him, and it was about 7 years of a marriage to this guy who was really a narcissist. And finally got away from all of that. By the time I did, I was 30 something, and just stuffed all that away. Didn't tell anybody about any of it. I felt like it was all my fault. I must be worthless for me to agree to this, or for me to.
Yeah.
I thought I got too drunk the night I was raped, which was in college. And it didn't ever occur to me that I'd been drugged or that I had been trafficked until 30 years later in my late 50s. So all those years, I just ignored it. I pretended like it never happened.
Right.
And I
There's
realized,
like kind of natural coping mechanisms. They're not necessarily healthy for you, but they protect you in the moment. Yeah.
A lot of disconnecting from myself and from emotions to kind of survive. But I got into my 50s and I started really feeling like I got to figure out what my passion is. I mean, we had run some businesses. My husband and I had a 20-year teaching career, but now I was ready to create something that I was really passionate about. And I found coaching in that process. But while I was searching, I kept running up against this inner wall, kind of like holding me back. And, I'd think, oh, I can't do that. And I can't do that. I'm not good enough to do that.
Yeah.
And I realized during this time that it just really, through a lot of prayer and journaling, it came up that, okay, your past is actually holding you back and making you feel like you don't have anything worthwhile to say, because it had really silenced my voice and taken away my confidence and my self-esteem and all that. But I didn't realize it. So it came to this point where I had to make a decision. Do I want to deal with my past so I can move forward? Or do I want to just keep living life in this kind of, it's okay, it's just good enough place?
Right. And it is a choice, because it's not an easy path.
No.
But
And I was
neither is an easy path, actually.
I was really afraid to do it because I didn't want to go back and talk about all that stuff, and didn't want to tell people. I didn't want to feel all the emotions. I didn't want to think about it.
Of course.
So, but I realized that was my choice, like you said, and it was up to me. And finally, I did make the choice. Okay, my church actually has this really in-depth ministry to help you with those things. And so I went for it, and it brought me so much freedom. And during those sessions is when I actually realized that I had been drugged and raped, because it never occurred to me that I was. It was like a big what? Yeah. And then it took me a while to wrap my head around the fact that I'd been trafficked, because I thought, well, Trafficking is when somebody kidnaps somebody and drugs them and they're imprisoned in some room or cellar or somewhere. But I've learned since then that my situation is very common, where you have a boyfriend who's doing this and it's still trafficking because they're putting pressure on you and manipulating you. And so then I had to wrap my head around, oh my gosh, I was trafficked, and I was a trauma victim. It never occurred to me. None of that had ever occurred to me.
Yeah.
And then I started learning about what trauma does to a person. And I began to realize that effect that it had on me all those years that I never really realized before, and how it had held me back and caused me to play small and hide out in the background and never really come out and be me.
Sure.
And so through the healing process, though, I started to emerge. I started to learn who I am and see who I am, began to love who I am, and was able
Another
to
yay.
yeah. And I was even able to embrace my younger self with compassion and kindness instead of being ashamed of her. And this led to a lot of
You didn't know? You didn't, I mean, who would have expected that?
no. But that's common with trauma victims, is they blame themselves and they think it's something wrong with them. And I did. And it was really pretty subconscious. It wasn't a conscious thing I thought about all those years. It was just running in the background,
Right.
like on your computer, you got these programs running.
Yeah, I understand. Play the tape, right?
Yep. So there was a lot of reframing and reprogramming and seeing the truth and recognizing the lies I had been believing, a lot of forgiving of people and myself. And then I came to this place where I felt like I was taking center stage of my own life. And that's the name of my book, because
Yeah.
that's my story in it. But I felt this feeling like, I feel like I'm walking out on center stage of my own life for the first time ever as me. And
Yeah.
I'm really happy and proud of who I am. And I'm ready to just be me, not play another role, but be the star of my own story. And out of
We're
that,
so glad to have the you that's present now.
thank
Yes,
you.
thanks.
I like it too, a lot better. There's a lot of freedom. I
Yeah.
could just be me, and so out of that, I began to take action and go for things and be all in and learn. I learned so much through this process that has brought me where I am now, because my passion for what I do is helping people find their voice, because I didn't have a voice. I felt like I didn't have a voice, and to
Yeah. You've
really
earned the right to teach that.
thank you. And to stand in that place of confidence that who you are is enough. It's more than enough. And you have so much value inside of you, because I didn't see that. And once I discovered that, I realized how powerful this is. And I want others, I just see potential in people and I want to draw it out.
Right. Understand.
So that's my story in a nutshell.
Well, uh, that's perfect. Thank you, and thank you for your vulnerability and sharing. And I mean, I could go on with like wow, but let's move ahead. So I got your passion and your life purpose around people being able to speak and them. And so, well, tell us about speaking and why it's speaking in the manner you're talking about and why it's so important.
Well, after I started my coaching practice, a couple years in, I realized that I wasn't really attracting very many clients enough to sustain my business or grow it. And I thought, well, what's the best way, fastest way to do that? And I realized it's speaking, because when you're speaking in front of a group of people, you have more people in front of you instead of just one. And a
Yes.
lot of times coaches are chasing after that one client, and it takes a lot of time. So as a teacher, I always loved to teach. So I thought, well, I can become a speaker. And so I started learning some speaking skills, took some courses, started practicing, joined a speaking club, and just started refining, my speaking skills. And I'm still growing in that, of course. And along the way, began to really dig into storytelling, because that's the most powerful part of speaking.
Yeah.
And so I love it. I love doing it and I love teaching others. I think stories are captivating. Everybody loves a good story. And so developing your story within your longer talk, whatever it might be. So it's a way to get out in front of more people. When you're speaking, people get to know you and they feel your energy a lot more than just reading something. They can hear you, feel connection to you, and they're going to be more likely to actually reach out and get in touch with you. So in my opinion, it's the best way to build your business is to start speaking.
And there are some top level coaches that would agree with you on exactly that point. So, so how can someone speak, and I guess even say speak through storytelling, like whatever, how can you do that?
There's many ways. I would say, first step is to learn how to speak. There's a lot of skill and techniques involved, but it doesn't have to be complicated. And you don't have to spend years and years becoming like this professional keynote speaker. What I teach people to do is just some basic speaking skills, put your content together. Let's build some stories and make a signature talk for you, or learn how to interview and tell your story and talk naturally and tell people who you are and what you do and feel confident in doing that. And then
You mean learn how to be interviewed?
Yeah, learn how to be interviewed. Exactly. That's what I meant. And then when you feel confident and you've practiced that, practice to me is key. Like practicing it builds the confidence, because
Yeah.
it builds that muscle memory, and your story and your messages become a part of
Right.
who you are. And then you feel comfortable getting in front of cameras and getting in front of people. And then you start finding stages to get on. And, there's in-person stages and virtual stages, and there's lots of different ways to find those places to get on. So, there's a wide variety. Networking is a great way. Getting involved in groups where there are podcast hosts or summit hosts or people that run conferences, build that network. There are some software programs you can get on that are, matching podcast hosts and guests, for example, or summits. You can Google conferences, so once you're ready and you're ready to do it, then you just start putting yourself out there and asking, hey, what does it take to be a speaker on your stage? I'd be really interested. Here's what I talk about. And having like a speaker one sheet is nice as well. The topics that you speak about, a little bio, maybe a headshot.
It sounds like a lot of stuff, but like you can just kind of do that piece by piece.
Piece by
You
piece.
just sort of like gonna do this piece, this, like that. And doesn't have to all be there at once. I mean, you just sort of continue refining it as time goes on.
What I did when I started coaching is I started doing free workshops at the local library. So I created my own.
Just so you can
just get
like
out.
You just have to get comfortable with that, like what's coming out of your mouth.
Yeah.
And being in front of an audience when you're doing it, and then all the
and you learn by doing, right? So I would get in front of a group of 10 women, and I was nervous at first, but then as I started talking and they got engaged with what I was saying, then I like had that connection with them, and then it became fun. And then I just refined that and learned along the way what works, what doesn't work. But it's getting out there doing it that really is the key.
I always say, so I do ballroom and Latin dancing socially, and one of my favorite things is perfection is way overrated.
Yes. Yeah, no, you're not going to reach perfection, and that shouldn't even be the goal. The goal is
that's actually that brings me to the question of like, what are some of the common mistakes that about speaking, and what should people do instead?
Yeah, and I think one of them is thinking that you have to be perfect and have all your words perfect and have it memorized. And really, that's not the goal, because when you are giving a memorized speech, people know it's memorized, and you want it to be natural. So it's more about mastery than it is perfection. You're just getting better and growing all along and become a master of your craft, but you get there by practicing and doing it and learning and growing. So it's always learning and growing. So I think that's one mistake, is there, being so afraid to get out there to begin with, because you think you have to be perfect. You don't. You just be you. And
there's that I call it the in order to syndrome. Like in order to, and then it's like you keep thinking you have to put things in place and you never get to where you like just do it.
Right. Yeah. When I get there, I'll do that. No, just be where you are now and start where you are now. Because the other mistake I think is that people are afraid that nobody wants to hear what they have to say, or they're going to sound dumb, look dumb, whatever. So the focus is on them. And the way I deal with that is I switch my focus to the people themselves, and my whole focus is on them getting value and them receiving something of value, and I'm curious about them and I'm there to serve them. And so my whole focus then is on them and not on me. And that takes away a lot of the nervousness. So you're there to serve, you're there to give. It's about your audience. And then just knowing that people are looking for what you have to offer, and give it, and share willingly and generously, and people will.
Don't be stingy.
No, don't be stingy. I give a lot away when I'm speaking, because I feel like there's no way that anybody could get everything I have in a 1 hour talk or a half-hour talk. And so hopefully they will get a lot of value and then want to stay in my world or connect with me more.
And even if they don't, I mean, you've given them your heart, and they have the opportunity to grow from that.
Yes. Yeah. And I always want to give something of value. I'm very conscious and intentional about that. If I do a webinar or a workshop or something, I want to give something that they can take away and use right then, whether they ever sign up for one of my programs or not. I want them to be able to take something away and use it and see it make an impact in their life. Something,
Well, actually, that brings me to the question about like, I'd really love to hear about somebody you've coached or mentored and like what transformation, or what results occurred for them.
Yeah, so lots of stories, but one in particular, she's been working with me for a couple of years at least, and she's a coach like me. Been coach, well, she graduated with her coaching certificate probably about 5 years ago, but she hadn't really done much with it because of, that imposter syndrome, or, thinking that she didn't have enough, and she took a lot of trainings to get more expertise. And I finally said to her, you can take a lot of trainings forever, but you really need to get out there, because what you have right now is great and awesome. And she's incredible. She's actually an ultra runner athlete too. So she has just in this last year, like started to just blossom and just, creating all this. She just launched her app. She's getting on stages. She's got her talks together. She's, people are starting to take notice of her. And she finally just made this decision this year. Like, I'm going to do this. I'm going to get this stuff done. I'm going to get myself out there. Enough of this hiding behind my computer and training.
Good for her.
And I can see her like confidence building and her assurance and is there. And so, she's just at this place of poise to just take off, because what she offers is unique and it's powerful what she brings. And so now her confidence is matching that. And she's got some great training behind her and some a course she's developed. And, like I said, she's been working with me on her speaking and storytelling and really getting good at that. So,
well, it sounds like she's following in your footsteps.
Yes.
Which is so awesome.
Yes. And that's what I love to see, because, again, I see potential in people and I'm like, you've got to get out there.
Yeah. I understand. Well, I'm kind of mindful of time because I know that we didn't time this well. So there's some other commitments coming up. So let me ask you this, if you could, what do you wish you'd known when you started out? Like, is there, like what important lessons have you learned?
So many, oh my Lord. But I think probably one of the biggest lessons that I wish I had known when I started, and I've been coaching for 8 years, is that the more focused you are on one specific audience with one specialty that you offer, the better off you'll be and the faster you'll grow. I tried to help everybody with everything. I tried weight loss and health because, I could do that, or divorce. I've been through that, or even recovery from trauma. I could do that. I can teach I can share on a lot of things. And so I was trying all these different things, productivity, how to,
So it's natural to experiment a little bit, but then
it is.
eventually one of my old bosses used to say, pick one.
Yes, exactly. And I'd heard that a lot, and I kept saying, but I don't know how to pick one because, but it is good to experiment, and finally you land on it. But, I was afraid, I think, to get really specific, thinking that I would limit myself or I wouldn't attract enough people. And over the last few years, I've gotten more and more and more focused, and I've definitely seen my business growing more and people finding
it's such a counterintuitive thing, but it's really, I've seen it time and again, and I'm guilty of the same thing.
Yeah. And finding your own niche, like you don't have to pick a niche that's already out there and try to fit into it. You can create your own. I think that's the most powerful, is to carve out your own little space and be the big fish in a little pond.
Right.
And you can look at all the unique things that you have and combine them in a unique way to serve this one audience. And you'll find that really will help you stand out in a big way.
And you find that in part by that kind of experimenting and casting around and things, but with the knowledge, like in the background, that it's like what is my special thing that I'm bringing to the world, and what am I passionate about doing that's going to sustain me in doing that.
Because there's a lot of people out there helping people learn how to be a speaker and storyteller. But I've landed on this space where it's this combination of speaking and storytelling with helping you craft the words as well. Because a lot of times they don't help you put your speech together. They just teach you how to speak.
Right.
Because of my background in education, I like to create a curriculum and a learning path, and I know how to keep people engaged and actually help them step by step by step. That's one of my gifts, is to get in there with you. And along with that is always confidence in who are you, the inner work too. So there's this combination of things that I'm good at and what
Yeah.
I'm passionate about and enjoy, and I've put them together. And also, you're unique, so you're going to attract people because of who you are. And if your topic is something other people teach, of course,
Well, my
but
brother jokes you're special just like everybody else,
Mhm,
but
mhm.
it's true. It's like who are you and what
Yes,
be like give yourself to the world.
yes,
Yeah.
exactly. Give yourself to the world. I love that. Yeah.
So is there a question I should have asked you? And if so, how would you have answered it?
I don't know. Probably, maybe, what are some of the roadblocks that get in the way of
If
stepping
we
into
have time. Yeah.
confidence? Sure.
Okay, great.
Some of the roadblocks that I've seen, I'd say top 3 challenges when it comes to speaking and getting yourself out there is, number one, not really having your message put together, not having a clear, compelling, concise message that's aimed at the right audience.
Mm,
And then the second one is not being able to, or not having the skill level to deliver. So learning some of the techniques and
mhm,
practicing it. And the third
mhm.
one is, what was the third one? Not having your message, not really knowing who your people are, like we were just talking
Yeah,
about, and getting heart centered and a soul aligned with your people, not figuring it out in your head, but really knowing who your people are,
yeah.
and having that skill level to actually speak and tell stories. So those are
Oh
some of
yeah.
the blocks that get in the way of people getting themselves out there, and they'll avoid it and take time to
Yeah. 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 I was going to go to Procrastinators Anonymous, but I decided to put it off.
yeah, I'm the queen of procrastination. And I think another roadblock too is like not getting the help and thinking that you have to do it all on your own,
Yeah. Yeah.
because we don't do this alone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's kind of a natural, yeah, entrepreneurs tend to get to be very independent. And the thing that I know can happen there is that you get stuck in your own head. It's like you
Mhm.
can't get yourself out of your own conversations. But if
Sure.
all you have to do is get a hold of somebody who cares about you, and that you trust, and all that excuse my language, but crap just can't stand the light of day, right?
Exactly.
And
Yes.
it's like it's amazing how if you have somebody that you if you have resources that you can tap into,
Yeah,
makes a big difference.
get into a community, find a mentor, find people that are on the journey with you, and then you
Like,
have people to brainstorm with and get feedback and
yeah,
support.
yeah,
It's
makes a
amazing.
huge difference.
It does. Yeah.
And sometimes stuff will come up like those, like there's always that third party in the room, you, them, and like that conversation that you're creating together. Like all of a sudden stuff starts to pop up. It's very, I find it's fascinating.
Yes. Yes. It's true. So those are some things. Hopefully that's helpful to people.
That's awesome. That is awesome. So people are going to want to get a hold of you. How
I
can they
hope
do that?
so.
They
Well,
will.
the most direct way is just to email me. And my email is Janelle, Janelle, at emerginglifecoaching.com. So that's emerging, EMERGING, lifecoaching.com. And
Yeah.
just shoot me an email. Let me know how I can help you.
That's awesome. And I understand you have a gift for folks.
I do. It's a really cool double training. It's 2 different video trainings about speaking. So one is speak confidently on video. So I talk all about, how do you get on camera, in front of a camera, and be natural and be normal yourself. Places like, even if you're creating your own video or if you're being interviewed, and then lighting and, sort of like a little bit around the technology, which is very simple to put together.
Yeah.
And the other one is speak confidently on podcasts and summits. So how do you get your title together, your talks together, your interview questions that you want to answer, and your bio and all that, and how to find podcasts and summits that would be good for you to get on. So there's 2 trainings in this. It's a speak confidently training vault.
Yes.
And it's totally free. Normally I charge for this, but I'm going to give you a coupon code to get it for free.
Uh-huh.
And you'd go to bit.ly, bit.ly / so bit.ly speak training. That's the link. And then use the coupon code speak VIP, all caps. And that'll get it to you for free, and you'll have access to the training right away. You'll get an email with a link to get in there and watch the trainings. You'll have some workbooks with both of those to also download.
That's
So,
awesome. So bit.ly/speak training
yeah.
and code speak VIP. That's really great. Thanks.
Yes.
That's very generous of you.
Yeah, well, get started, everybody. I want to see
Yeah, really. So Janelle, it's been such a treat having a chance to talk with you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. And I know that our listeners are just loving what you have to say.
I hope so. And, like I said, just get yourself out there, shine your light. People want to hear what you have to say.
Yeah,
And I always like to say, your people are looking for you.
yeah, yeah, yeah. And so don't cheat them and you out of the opportunity.
Yes, that's
All
true.
right.
Yes.
Well,
All right.
thank you
Well, thanks for
very
having
much.
me. Okay. Bye-bye.
Take care.